This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century. Know what today is. It's your special day. Happy birthday, Andrew Wyatt. It's your birthday. Whoa, 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 it's your birthday. Happy Life Affirmation Day. Dear Omega brother man, Andrew Wyatt, thank you so much, brother, for being a godsend for our dear beloved Baba, Dr. William Henry Cosby Jr., also known as Bill Cosby, America's dad. Man, I had a chance to hang out with you, with Sister Kera Dangerous, for 3 hours. And it's more to you than meets the eye. Really enjoyed the convo, the food for thought that was offered, brother. Wishing you amplified blessings of longevity, good health, real wealth, peace, love, and happiness, and so many more years of black men excellence, joy, perseverance, and success. Thank you, because you really made my year when you connected me with Dr. Cosby on Sunday. I wasn't even expecting that. But the next time y'all both in Memphis, we got to take y'all to some more barbecue places besides Rendezvous, because Memphis is the barbecue capital of the world. Wishing you many more years of eating that good old taste of barbecue. Yeah, baby. The words of Great Duke Elton, we love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing and use your goods, or gifts rather, for the greater good of humanity. See how it works somewhere. Happy birthday, brother Andrew Wyatt. Why? Because you're a good man, brother Andrew. Happy birthday to you. One love. Oh, yeah.
As you can see, I do have Mr. Andrew Wyatt here with us, and just 1 second. So, tell you what, while we're waiting on Ron, I just want to tell all you guys, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Kera Dangerous Talk. They tried to stop us, but we're here anyway, baby. You know how it goes sometimes.
That's it.
That is how it goes. Andrew, you can hear me?
I can, man. It's great to be on this show, man. They tried to stop us, but man, you, Ron, and Guy, man, you all are a serious crew.
Thank you. Thank you. Ron, can you hear me, Ron?
Yeah, loud and clear. Yes.
Okay. I don't know why I can't hear y'all as good as previously, but I'm just gonna run with it because after the hell we just been through, hey, we just gotta go. So on this show, I normally do a little thing called Give the Person Their Flowers, where I tell you sit back, relax, and take your flowers. But I'm just gonna simply say some nice things for you, Mr. Andrew Wyatt. And again, you being the spokesperson, the PR person, the crisis manager for the legendary comedian, actor Bill Cosby. I'm so happy to have you on the show today, just to get some facts straight and to get some clarity about this whole situation. But I have to say, I've been so impressed with you, just seeing how you've been handling everything, Mr. Wyatt, because you just come off like such an intelligent man and confident. And, you know, if I needed somebody on my team to help me in a crisis, I think that I would call you. That is, well, I think that's safe to say.
That means a lot. You know, I tell everybody, when it's easy to be that way and confident when you have the truth and the facts to stand on, and you don't have to sensationalize anything. You don't have to make it up, and you don't have to play their game. So when you have that and you know they have no evidence, no proof, and just because somebody make an accusation, it's only an accusation. And anybody can be an alleged accuser, but just because somebody accused you of something doesn't make it true. And that's what I stand on, the truth and the facts. And I like to say that I'm an equal rights activist for the truth and the facts.
Yes. And before we really dive into this, I want to just tell everybody, I have joining us also right here, this nice fella you see with the hat on. One of my favorite YouTubers, content creators, Ron Hurd from We Be All TV. He does some awesome things on his platform. Ron, thank you so much for joining us.
It's an honor to be on here, Sister Kera, with you and your esteemed guests.
Yes. Ron is someone who has spoken about Mr. Bill Cosby. I was on a show with him where we collaborated and we spoke about Bill Cosby. So today we going in. I'm not trying to ask these questions in any particular order. I'm just trying to get to the facts. I'm just trying to have a conversation. So we're going to leave today with a lot more information. So let's go. So I simply want to just start here. I've been hearing this word, technicality. Technicality. What exactly is the technicality that Mr. Bill Cosby was released on?
Well, the Constitution is not a technicality. You know, so what the media, mainstream media, and the distractors were so angry about is that Mr. Cosby conviction was vacated for in perpetuity by 7 justices who wrote 7 distinguished dissent opinions to say that this man was stripped of his constitutional rights and due process. You know, if you want to call the Constitution a technicality, then what mainstream media is saying is that George Floyd's murder, the murder of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, Eric Gardner, and Sandra Bland, their constitutional rights were dead on arrival. But you're saying that they're the people who murdered them, it was just a technicality. You know, so what you're saying is that this American citizen, Bill Cosby, you know, who served in the Navy, his constitutional rights were stripped of him. So, you know, the 5th Amendment and the 14th Amendment is not a technicality. It's 2 essential tools of the Constitution that protects the powerless, whether rich or poor, from the powerful, the gatekeepers in the judicial system. So in 1776, the Declaration of Independence was signed, and then 87 years later, in 1863, they signed the Emancipation Proclamation. But
But then, since they said that we don't really want to let black people free, we'll create convict labor. And Bill Cosby was put in prison to be one of those convicts to provide free labor. And that's what they have always done to us. They always want to say that our rights are not our rights. Our rights are only our rights when they allow us to have our rights. So the word technicality, it doesn't fit with the Constitution. I like to tell people, just like God, laws, statute, and commandments, they were not given to us as a suggestion, nor was the Constitution. It was given to us as a mandate to live by and to be protected by.
Anything to say about that, Ron?
I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, he should never been in there in the first place, but we'll get into that as well too.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Well, he was given a deal. He was given a deal in 2005 by the former prosecutor, Bruce Castor.
right.
And the reason why he was given a deal, because Andrea Constant, she gave 5 inconsistent statements to 5 different law enforcement agencies. Now, remind you, her brother-in-law is a police detective in Toronto. She gave 2 of those statements to Toronto, to 2 different Toronto police detectives and police departments. And they found out that she was not truthful. So Bruce Castor, after coming to Philadelphia and meeting with 3 different law enforcement agencies in Philadelphia, he decided to foreclose on any criminal charges against Mr. Cosby. And reason why is because he said her statements are inconsistent. They're not truthful. What she is saying, it doesn't make sense. Now, what he did, and the judges said that he went outside of the confines of the law by forcing Mr. Cosby into civil court and giving a deposition and having him to waive his Fifth Amendment rights to talk about things that should have never been brought up or should have never been discussed. And I don't mind getting into those things with the deposition of what he said as well, to put the true color and put it in the full scope of his words and the context of what he said. However, this man waived everything because he was told that he would never be prosecuted. Not only did he waive everything, he decided to settle out of court for $3.38 million to never be prosecuted again. And then you have a former district attorney who is now deciding to run again for his seat again, 15 years later against the current district attorney. And the current district attorney, Kevin, still runs a Willie Horton style campaign ad saying, if you elect me, I'll go after Bill Cosby. After he was told by his boss, Rita Furman, who's now a judge, you should not touch this because Bill Cosby was given a deal and you're going against his constitutional rights. But his ambitions, as we have seen with so many others, and we saw what happened with Hannibal Barris, who the comedian. Hannibal went and did the joke, calling Bill Cosby a rapist. However, what people need to realize is that Hannibal was paid by Philly Magazine to do the joke.
I was wondering that. Because it just came out of nowhere. Like,
he did it twice. He did his first show. He did an early show, and it didn't catch. This guy with Philly Magazine hates Bill Cosby, Bob Huber. Robert Hubert is his name. He wrote an article, What It's Like to Be a White Man in Black Philadelphia. He has been stalking Cosby for 15, 20 years. And he, in 2005, when Mr. Cosby settled out with Andrea Constant, Bob Huber was angry because he brought these women to CBS News, parading them around, and they were called Jane Does, who were supposed to tell their accounts of Mr. Cosby. And he became angry that Mr. Cosby settled. And he left a note in Mr. Cosby's mailbox, why? At his Elkins Park home. So what Philly Magazine, throughout my investigators, found out, they hired a freelance journalist to get Hannibal Buress to do this joke and call Bill Cosby a rapist. It didn't happen. The first show, it never caught on. But the second show, they recorded it. And they it went viral because they flooded it out on their social media sites with millions of people. And that's how it started. And
the setup was real.
So Hannibal Buress, look, he was promised shows. At first, you saw Hannibal out on the scene. He was doing the Tonight Show, all of those things. They were making him into this iconic figure because white people, the Jews, a few Jews got behind this and put the money behind it. And then that's when you saw Gloria Allred come out. Mm. Gloria Allred comes out and starts parading women out. So they, it's a book, and it's a real book called The Spook That Sat Behind the Door. And Hannibal Buress was the spook. He was a spook that was given a few coins. He was the Judas goat. He was the goat that the Judas goat is the goat that leads the other goats off the cliff, and leads the sheep off the cliff. That's why you have to have a shepherd to guide the sheep, because the Judas goat will lead you off the cliff because you're blinded if you're a sheep. Right. And that's what they use Hannibal Buress for. And think about it, you haven't heard anything else from him. It's as if he never existed.
Well, there are several things that we can go off of just from what you just said right there. But what kills me and Ron, and I'm speaking for him, is that so many people use the word conspiracy theory, even with you giving us those facts about Hannibal Buress. But when it comes to Bill Cosby trying to acquire NBC and his purchase of lands, which Ron could speak to you in detail about, we don't feel like it's a conspiracy. Can you just please give us a little bit more facts when it comes to telling people what Bill Cosby was actually doing as far as his land ownership and also trying to acquire NBC?
Okay, with the NBC deal, Mr. Cosby saved NBC from bankruptcy 7 times throughout his career. Wow. If you look at his body of work, most of his shows, Chet Kincaid, I Spy, all those shows, a lot of those shows was done with NBC. He saved William Morris agency from bankruptcy a total of 7 to 8 times. With the Cosby Show, he was their #1 talent. He had been with William Morris for 49 years, almost 50 years. So Mr. Cosby started seeing the type of programming after the Cosby Show in A Different World, and Fat Albert and all those tremendous shows that he had done. He started seeing the downfall and the trending of how television was influencing the minds of Black people, especially within the Black community. We understand that entertainment plays a huge part in how people conduct their lives and how they operate. You see something on television, you say, I want to be like that person. So when people saw the Cosby Show, women wanted a husband like Cliff Huxtable. Men wanted a wives like Cliff Huxtable. They wanted that structure, and that structure truly did exist within the Black community. Now, Norman Lear, who created Good Times and the Jeffersons, I remember him going on Tom Joyner Morning Show saying that nobody should believe or care about that show, the Cosby Show, because it wasn't real. Black people don't live that way. And you have Tom Joyner, who's a Black man, allowing this white Jewish man to come on and say, Black people should live like Good Times. Well, they never wanted us to get out the ghetto. Okay, George Jefferson, he made it to the Upper East Side, but he was always beholden to Mr. Wendell, who lived above him. Okay. Mm-hmm. So they always kept their foot on our necks. When you saw the Cosby Show, you never saw them eating fried chicken at the table. Mm. It's those small things that put us in a box as a people, to show us eating chicken and watermelon. So that's to stop our progression. You never saw that on the Cosby Show or A Different World or any of Mr. Cosby shows. So when he saw, after his shows went off the air, he saw the direction that the network was going. He was like, look, I want to own NBC. Not only was he trying to buy NBC that same year, he was also trying to buy the Cleveland Browns football team that same year. So when they see that you had that much wealth, so it was a guy by the name of Zucker, Jeff Zucker. Zucker was the president of NBC. He was having dinner in Mr. Cosby's New York home. And when he tried to tell Cosby that Wall Street is not going to help fund you because you don't know anything about running a television station or entertainment. Well, how could you tell a guy who's been in this business for 50 plus years that you don't know anything about entertainment and running a television station when he saved you from bankruptcy 7 times? So Mr. Cosby politely, because Zucker was making a lot of negative racist comments at the table, Jewish guy, he said, get your coat. And he thought Mr. Cosby was going to take him for a walk in New York City. He walked him to the door and said, get out of my house, you Nazi. He called a Jewish guy Nazi. And Jeff Zucker said, I would get you back for this one day. So what happens? Zucker becomes the president of CNN. Who parades the women out? CNN. Who goes on CNN and launches this assault on Mr. Cosby on the show where Brian Seltzer, Reliable Solutions, Bob Huber, Philly Magazine. He tells the world, and he said, to all of my friends, do not let Ferguson take Bill Cosby out of the news. Now, Ferguson was going on because of the murder of Mike Brown. So Jeff Zucker's parading women out. They had a machine now to parade it out. Also, prior to that, 2 years prior to the allegations coming out, Mr. and Mrs. Cosby they bought this property in the 70s in Western Massachusetts called Shelburne Falls. Kinder Morgan, an oil company, was trying to run a pipeline, a $450 million pipeline from North Carolina to their Massachusetts property, because there's a mineral on that property that flows the gas evenly through the pipeline. Mrs. Cosby, with the help of Governor Deval Patrick, the former governor of Massachusetts, waged a war against Kinder Morgan. You know, they have over 20,000 acres that they live on. Also, every year, Mrs. Cosby buys 5,000 acres of land and puts it into the Franklin Land Trust for conservation. She also was fighting Whole Foods and Walmart for fair wages for Black and brown people. Because she's an activist in that. That's what she does. She's a producer and an activist. Also, aiding in that fight was Jane Fonda, who has land in that area as well. So when a Black woman and a Black man like Bill Cosby owns so much property, look, she owns all of her family land in Virginia and DC, where she grew up, at 15,000 acres, another 17,000 acres in Maryland. They owned a number of properties in Santa Monica, one of the largest African-American art collections in the world. You own a house on East 61st Street you haven't lived in 30 years, okay? Next door to Ashford and Simpson, Valerie Ashford, the group. Then the 71st Street house you own, you bought her, it was a French school. You bought her the entire school in 1984 for her birthday. It took you 4 years to gut it, okay? And it's on Millionaires Row that they still own. You have the house in Pacific Palisades next to Spielberg. The house has leather floors in it. You have the house in Elkins Park, Pennsylvania, where his mother cleaned for 20 years, and he bought it for his mother and said, this is the house that you clean. It kept clean. It's now yours. Okay. When you own your body of work, you know, you own all of your body of work. You're from your music to you name it. This is also as a Black man who that they were not allowed to be in Westminster Dog Show. He won Westminster Dog Show twice. He won it with his captain in the Navy, Captain Jean Heath, white woman. They had a groomer and they had a breeder. And since they wouldn't let Black people in, they called themselves the Black Watchers. He won with Awesome Blossom, the Lakeland Terrier. The Lakeland Terrier is a dog named after the Lakeland district in England. Because the terrain is so rough, they use those dogs to hunt foxes. And he also won with Harry the Danny Denmark Terrier. A Black man wins Westminster Dog Show twice. Wow. So it's the history. It's also the history of a Black man, and like him and Mrs. Cosby, who, when Black people could not be hairstylists and wardrobe artists in the entertainment industry and makeup artists, they put $1 million in the 60s up of their own money, and they paid to get them educated and certified to be hairstylists. When he saw a white man flip a car in I Spy, and they painted this white man down, Bill Cosby said, I got some guys in North Philly that can do that for $20. So he helped start the Black Stuntmen's Association with his stuntman, who's Calvin Brown, who lives in Las Vegas, who heads up the Stuntmen's Association now. So, you know, it's not just about what they gave over $200 million to educate and elevate, not just Black and brown people, but white people also, not just men, but women, and probably majority women, because there's more women in college and universities than men are today. And even yesterday, not just the HBCUs, but public white institutions as well. It's the history. It's the history of a man on this list I have in front of me, Nixon's enemies list. You go to page one. I want to go to the page for you. You got on this page right here, number 123 on the list is Carol Channing, actress. 124, Bill Cosby, actor. 125, Jane Fonda, actress. 126, Steve McQueen, actor. 127, Joe Namath, New York Giants businessman and actor, football player. 128, Paul Newman, actor. 129, Gregory Peck, actor. 130, Tony Randall, actor. 131, Barbara Streisand, actress. 132, Dick Gregory, comedian. Now, he was put on this list because he was refused to perform at the White House for Nixon. Now, this is a man who the FBI had all his shows canceled. His phones were tapped. So he was drugging and raping white women in the 60s and 70s, being watched by the FBI.
That's what I can't get my head around, Mr. Wyatt, is a Black man being a big star in that time, and white women are afraid. And I just want to state this because I feel like a lot of people that head their own shows are afraid to say this, but I'm not. I just can't trust a word of white women just willy-nilly. And I don't care who feels crazy about that. You can write me hate message. I don't care. If you look at the history of Black people, we can't trust white women right off the bat. We have been accused of things all through our lives, generation to generation, by white women that not even true, and we get hung, lynched, beat for it. I mean, look at Emmett Till, the accuser, the white woman who said he whistled at her. She lied, and she's still alive, like never been brought to trial, nothing. Nobody, I mean, I don't feel comfortable just taking that word willy-nilly. And that's why I don't know why so many Black celebrities have turned their back on Mr. Bill Cosby, knowing that fact. I mean, I can guess why they would, but it's just unfortunate. I mean, at least show me, let's get through the trial, show me some hard evidence before you just throw Mr. Bill Cosby away. Because to me, Bill Cosby means so much to the Black community and just the community in whole. I mean, people want to say it's hypocritical of Mr. Cosby, but to me, he gave us such a good image for what we needed to try to attain as Black people. He gave us a different world. He said, after you leave the Cosby home, where your mother and father are successful and they teach you how to do well in school, you go to college, okay? You behave in college, you have your growing pains, and you learn how to deal with life and what's ahead of you. He was before Tyler Perry. He was giving Black actors jobs. People speak on Tyler Perry all the time, but Bill Cosby did it first. Look how many people he gave jobs. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, all the monetary gifts he gave to the HBCUs, like you brought up, and all the things he was doing. I even heard a story where if you were on the Cosby Show, you weren't allowed to curse on set. So, Ron, I promise I'm gonna let you jump in, but I have to ask you this, Mr. Andrew Wyatt. If I feel some type of way when I see certain people come out, I gotta know, how does it affect Mr. Cosby? Because let me go to this note card I have. Just some of the people who have been distractors and have been disloyal to him, who you think would wait till more evidence, more facts are being told. Just some of the top people I have here: Wendy Williams, Janet Hubbard, John Amos, and Joseph C. Phillips. Just give me an opportunity to run through this. Wendy Williams, I watch her quite a bit. She said that she doesn't want to watch anything concerning Mr. Cosby. She said that years ago when she was working radio or some job, she had to apologize to him over the phone for something. I forgot what it was, but she just said she heard rumors. She just couldn't stand them, don't want to see anything. Now we have Mr. John Amos from the show Good Times, who's also a figure in the Black community we respect because of his role as a father, okay? He said that it wasn't a surprise to him. He had heard rumors, you know. He said that Felicia Rashad walked up to him when he was on the Cosby Show and said, "Hey, we don't curse here. That's not what we do on this set for this show." And he said that he felt like he kidnapped the baby. Okay, whatever. And we have Janet Hubbard, who played the Black Aunt Viv on Fresh Prince. She came out and she said, "Oh, come on, Felicia Rashad," or something to that, when Felicia tried to support Mr. Cosby. I'm only bringing this up because, especially in her case, she was blacklisted pretty much from this industry herself off of the word of one of her peers who has more influence than her, who was more powerful than her, Will Smith, and even Alfonso Ribeiro. So I felt like out of everybody, she said she heard rumors, but you would think Miss Janet Hubbard would at least wait to hear all the facts, make sure she got all her information right, because you would think a person who has also been blackballed off of word of somebody with more influence would understand that this can happen to somebody else as well. Okay. And I just want to bring up about, you know, I just want to know, how do you feel when you hear these stories? Because Joseph C. Phillip, he played Denise's husband on the Cosbys, okay? He goes out, and to me, he was disloyal to Bill Cosby. He said, of course, Bill Cosby is guilty. Sorry just to be rambling on, but how does that make Mr. Cosby feel when he hears some of his peers?
One word, Mr. Cosby's, you know, when we discuss those people, there's one word, and it's called evolution. Mm-hmm. Their careers never evolved into anything. So in order to get their careers to evolve, now you invoke something about Bill Cosby to make white people give you opportunities now. Okay, it's what we saw with Hannibal. You know, it's all about, well, if I join the conversation in the lynch mob, I'll get to work again. You know, what have we seen John Amos really do? What have we seen all of those people, Joseph C. Phillips, what is he doing now? You know, I remember when the allegations started, Jill Scott called, and she calls Mr. Cosby her dad. And
I remember this.
She's trying to, he helped her get her honorary doctorate from Temple. And she started supporting him, and they started canceling her concerts. And he sent a message through me to her. He said, look, tell her, don't get out here and defend me. Do what she needs to do to keep working. Same thing with Whoopi Goldberg. When she was defending him heavily on The View, especially when Beverly Johnson came out and claims that, you know, Mr. Cosby gave her the coffee, and she looked at him and said, cursed him out and dropped the cup, and he dragged her down the steps and threw her in the cab, and she was throwing up in the cab, and nobody took a picture now. This is Beverly Johnson. Now, all of this happening in the cab, and she went into her home and slept for 3 days, and no one checked on her. You know, Whoopi defended him, and ABC News president sent their legal analysts and to correct Whoopi and say, if you don't correct yourself, you will be off of The View. Wow. Mr. and Mrs. Cosby has told all of their friends, look, we respect your love for us and your support, but don't get in the fight because you can't afford to be in this white fight and hurt your careers. And the people you mentioned, these are people who are trying to resurrect their name off of Bill Cosby. Every time now, when a comedian or somebody has a new project coming out, they invoke Bill Cosby. You know, I called Eddie Murphy out when he went on Saturday Night Live, and he started doing Bill Cosby jokes. Well, 6 months prior, he would not do it when Norm Macdonald wrote a skit for him. He said, I'm not going to kick a man when he's down. What changed? What changed? You know why it changed? Because Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle, you had $1 billion of Netflix money standing on that stage. And they had to. We will always respect Kevin Hart, because when I saw Kevin at the Comedy Club Start On in Birmingham, Alabama, he was filming his Comedy Central special. Faison Love walked him out, and Faison said, man, this Cosby's guy, Cosby he represents Cosby. Kevin was like, man, that's my dude, man. We from Philly. I would never say nothing about him, because he said, man, what he did, we know what this is all about. Mm-hmm. Faison has been out there on the warpath, okay? Right. On the warpath. Mm-hmm. And a lot of other comedians have been, look, Sinbad, he loved Sinbad. He made Sinbad the warm-up guy for the Cosby Show. Right. Then Sinbad became the guy who got on a different world. It was this white man, and Sinbad tells a joke. This producer was giving Sinbad hell, just disrespectful to him. And Sinbad saw Mr. Cosby walk in with his cigar in his mouth, and he had his valet guy holding his briefcase. And he said, hey man, I'm funny. And Bill Cosby said, I know you are. Do your thing. And Mr. Cosby walked out and heard the laughter of the audience with no cursing, no profanity, none of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Just naturally funny. And that's what, I guess there's a code, and I know there's a code amongst comics. Comics respect each other. They don't put out the dirty laundry of other comics. There was that code that the Richard Pryors and the Red Foxes and Nipsey Russells and all the great ones had, the Dick Gregory's, man. It was a code. I remember Dick Gregory calling. He said, man, he said, Bill, I saw Eddie and Dave, and I told them, look, man, you're doing comedy of injustice, because we protect each other, because we have to protect each other, because what goes on in America and current events of the day, we get to make jokes about it. Mm-hmm. That's why we protect each other. We never kick another comic. And we understand what that's all about, Kera and Ron. It's about money. It's about getting the availability to work. See, when the phone stops ringing for those people you mentioned, mm-hmm. they have to find ways to bring Mr. Cosby up. Same way with Chris Rock. Shame on Dave Chappelle. You Dave Chappelle. Okay, Dave, when you walked away from Comedy Central, Bill Cosby got on the phone with you and gave you advice on how to handle the situation. Mm. And when you made your comeback and you went to Radio City Music Hall with the Roots, Mr. Cosby congratulated you for making your comeback and selling out 5 shows. And you don't take the time, because, see, here's how it works. When you got William Morris that's controlled by Ari Emanuel, the brother of Rahm Emanuel, the chief of staff to Obama, and he now owns William Morris. And Ari and Bill Cosby walks away from William Morris after 49 years and goes to CAA, where Ari left and took Oprah with him. Okay, and now we got a new TV show coming out, February 2015, where Diane Kera was going to play Mr. Cosby's wife, and they were going to have one daughter left in the house, and the production company was Sony Pictures, and it was going to be on NBC. See, when you have all of the dirt, Mr. Cosby sat down with Oprah almost 20 years ago, him and Mrs. Cosby, and talked about their personal lives and the infidelity. But that was between a husband and a wife. Okay, there's no law or no rule that say that I have to air my dirty laundry out to the public. A husband and wife dealt with it. They discussed it. And they also sat on the Oprah show. But this is the same man who Oprah and Stedman used to go stay at their Massachusetts property. That's the same property where Miles Davis and Cicely Tyson got married, and the wedding was officiated by Ambassador Andrew Young.
That's right.
Okay. So this is the same man that told Oprah on how to manage her money. But where are you, Oprah? You know, I'll add to the list D.L. Hughley,
Thank you.
who has always been jealous of Bill Cosby.
Mm-hmm.
Because DL doesn't do comedy. DL spends his time on stage going after people, talking about the audience, you know, joking on the audience, because he doesn't do real comedy. You know, when you look at all these cats out here who are so-called comedians, it reminds me of the joke and the story, not the joke that Mr. Cosby told me. He said I was walking into the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco. Mm. And he said, I got out my car, man. He said, with these two guys, and they said, one guy turned to his friend and said, man, that's Bill Cosby. His friend was like, oh yeah, yeah. He said, hey man, he does real comedy, real comedy. And his comedy has been used along with his shows to humanize all races, all genders, all religions. And that's what we all should be doing, like with your show.
Well, let me ask you this real quick, Mr. Wyatt, and then I'm gonna let Ron get at you.
You're probably good.
What exactly are these rumors that people would hear then? Was it simply just him stepping out on Miss Cosby? What do you think those rumors were? I just want to address that because
those rumors were the rumors of the 70s, of that culture, where the same culture where the Mile High Club was created. Okay. All right. So the same culture where, you know, Quaaludes were the party favors of everybody, not just Bill Cosby, you know, but it was a thing to have because women who partied with you in the 70s, they were called disco biscuits, and they heightened a woman's sexual arousal. They intensified the orgasm. So women would always come up to the guys and say, hey, you got any Quaaludes, you know, and they want to hang out. They were called, like I said, disco biscuits.
Well, real quick, just to stop you, I just want to know though, how in the hell did Hugh Hefner leave this earth unscathed by any of this? Because wasn't he very close to Bill Cosby? I mean, he was known for having how many women at his place? And you telling me, and now maybe you can't speak on it. I mean, he telling me how many drugs he have at that mansion, and his name hasn't been brought up.
You Hefner, when you walked into the Playboy Mansion, you had naked women rolling weed. You had women whose job were to fill the Quaalude buckets, okay? And you said, how did he leave the world unscathed? He left the world unscathed because of the color of this paper. Paper, you know?
Wow.
That's not a hard answer to give you, Kera. You know, when you are a Black man in America, Kera, we see it every day with these commercials, Subaru commercials. And if you remember 3 years ago, they aired this Cheerio commercial and it showed a Black man with mixed children with a white woman. Mm. And look at all of the hatred that came. So now they always show now in the commercials a Black woman with a white guy. It's always to ostracize and emasculate the Black man, okay? But when you put the halo of America's Dad on a Black man's head, okay, then you got white kids saying, I want my daddy to be like Bill Cosby. You're not gonna leave this world unscathed. Hugh Hefner got out of here and he was still alive. He would have still been unscathed. Gloria, see, the Jews got a system. And people always want to talk about the Italian mafia, but they forget about the Jewish mafia that was started by Bugsy Siegel, who started it, all the nightlife in Vegas, the casinos. Okay, but see, the Jewish mob, the Italian mob had the local police on payroll, the garbage collectors on payroll, the small businesses were paying them. But the Jews had something different. They had the FBI.
I'm telling you, every time you say Jew, I'm like, I hope I get to have another show. Like,
No, you,
that's
well,
how
that's you.
that's
Hey,
how powerful that
I'm
shit
going
is.
to say this: all
okay.
Jews are not bad,
Okay.
but and I don't have anything against any group.
I'm just
But
keeping it real.
those,
Yeah, I hear you.
those are those Jews out here, those white people out here that have a formula to come after us. If you look at Gloria Allred, she never came after Weinstein.
Mm.
And reason why is why? Because her daughter was representing Weinstein. She had him to do that dumb press release admitting to everything because the goal was to get him to give them $250 million, and they settled claims with the women. But see, the problem with Weinstein is that the women he admitted to, they were Hollywood starlets. They didn't need a Gloria Allred, okay? They had their own platform. They had their own money, their own wealth. So she could not utilize them and use them the way she's using so many of these distractors out here today, because they don't have the wealth, they don't have the name and the popularity. And so they have a system where they do stick together, Kara, unlike us in the Black community. Look, if you go back into history,
Mm.
I remember as a child growing up in Bessemer, Alabama, in the projects, and I remember, the Jews lived in the same communities that we lived in, the Italians, and Black people used to call some of them Dagos, okay? They lived in the same communities as us in the South. The only thing what happened, when they moved out, they didn't give us the formula. We got caught up into the materialistic lifestyle of trying to be better than the Joneses and the people next door to us that look like us. We didn't know how to pool our resources together. We got caught up into the whole civil rights movement of integration. When we had the best hamburger in our Black districts, every state had a Black Wall Street. Okay, there was a Black Wall Street that existed. We had our own hotels. We had our own funeral homes.
Right.
But for some reason, we wanted to go hang out with Miss Charlie and Miss Ann, Mr. Charlie and Miss Ann. And that deteriorated our own community because we forgot how to spend our dollar with each other. When the Jews spend their dollar, their money turned over 5 times within their community before it leaves outside of their community. Our money don't get to turn over at all.
Ron, your time up, brother.
No, I mean, I'm just getting all this information, so much stuff here. It's funny that the brother, you ran down all these major achievements that Dr. Bill Cosby had over his lifetime in terms of not only helping himself, but helping people to look like him get to that next level. And I can recall when I was in college in St. Louis, one of the things that stuck out about me by Dr. Cosby was when all those Black men were being killed and terrorized by the police in Cincinnati, that he was the first major celebrity of any renown to cancel all business and stuff in Cincinnati. But nobody talks about that, but they talk about that 2004 pound cake speech. And just very ungrateful people. I mean, he had a moment. He spent all that money and all that investment in us, and he had his moment. He's human. But when I hear Black folks say I can't support Bill Cosby because of the pound cake speech, I think it's asinine and I think it's ridiculous.
You're right. It is. It was a speech given because it was around the 50th anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. Right. And what he was saying in his speech is that, and they called it a pound cake speech because he gave a story of a Black kid going into a store, and opposed to, he see this piece of pound cake, and opposed to saying, hey, I want to come up with 25 cents to get this piece of pound cake, he steals the piece of pound cake. And what he was saying is that if you're not on the corner and you're not hanging out on the corner, and if you had self-pride and take pride in yourself, you can't be framed, because if you're in the picture, you can always be framed of something. And basically he was saying to Black people, don't put yourselves in the picture. Don't put yourselves in those situations to be framed, and white people, especially the Washington Post, heard that speech and they labeled it the pound cake speech. Right. And they said, okay, he's trying to be this moralist. And he's trying to talk down to black people, and black people fed into that rhetoric. He wasn't talking down to us. Look, when you go into the prisons, which I have, you don't see these guys hanging with their pants hanging down, okay? Because your pants hanging down in prison sends a different message about what you want, you know, and from a sexual standpoint. And all we're saying is that, look, you see a guy, man, I see it every day, and they're trying to run from the police, but pull their pants up and they're tripping and falling. Right. And so, you know, it's those things of saying, look at what type of people we are. We are great people. Our blackness make us great. You take any professional team, for example, you take the colors of any professional team. You could say, hey, man, the Memphis Grizzlies, what are their colors? You know, blue, and right. So you got their colors, right? So you take a baseball cap from the Memphis Grizzlies. You can find a Memphis Grizzly red baseball cap, a purple baseball cap, because why? They understand that black people, we make things hot. Our baseball cap got to match our sneakers, right? Yeah. So, and our whole, it's a part of the whole attire, right? We coordinate that look. So now teams say, well, you know, forget our colors. We'll make our team colors in anything now because we know black people are going to make us hot because we are a great people. And that's what he was saying in his speech. We are a great people. We don't have to limit ourselves.
Right.
And also, like, I was like, you know, with this, now I didn't agree with nobody getting killed over a piece of pound cake. I'm thinking about Latasha Harlins, who actually did pay for that orange juice, and then when they shot her. But my problem with that is that the community knew about the reputation of that woman pointing guns at black children. How can you allow this woman or her organization to operate like that? It's like for example, we go to Cosby. Nobody is talking about Dr. Larry Nassar, the Olympic coach, who's been for years protected by institutions molesting girls. These were not women, these were young, these were girls. And Simone Biles was the last victim that was still active. But yet you got all this evidence and all these institutions covering even the FBI. It was an FBI agent that covered up the abuses of Dr. Larry Nassar for the institutions that supposed to be protecting the best interests of Simone Biles. But when has this country ever protected black women, black bodies, or anything like that? And my problem is Dr. Bill Cosby got in jail over hearsay, over innuendo, no concrete evidence, but you had concrete evidence collected by institutions protecting their own self-interest. I gotta ask you, brother, like, is Dr. Bill Cosby related to Emmett Till?
You said what? Is he related to
Emmett Till?
He should be his cousin.
I heard that. I was asking what they related. I heard somebody say they were cousins.
No, they're not related. Mr. Cosby has family from Mississippi, but they're not. But they are related in the lynching of Bill Cosby, because he was lynched the same way Emmett Till was lynched. And as you know, so described, Central Park 5. Yeah. You know, look at what happened to those guys. Look at Duke lacrosse team. Look what happens to those guys. You know, no evidence of proof or anything. It's always the sheer volume of what a white woman says. Because white women, what America has said to us is that white women don't lie. And you have the young lady, the black lady who created the Me Too movement. Yeah. That movement was hijacked from her because they said, no, we can't put your face out here. You don't look presentable. So they made it the Becky movement. Okay. Right. It became it's not the Me Too, it's Becky. It's hashtag Becky movement. And Becky has always been able to take down our black men because Becky never lies.
It's not only that they don't lie, but white women are supposed to be protected because they're soft, they're flowers. And that goes on to another thing about, well, we don't have to go there about black women being hard and whatnot, but white women have always been protected. They're the woman of this country. Like, white women are the most protected group. Think about it. Malcolm X said black women are the least protected. white women are protected. Their word is taken first when it comes to opportunity on jobs. When corporations say that they're all for inclusion and diversity, it's always the white woman who gets the position first. Then the black woman can be ushered in. So it's not just about them lying. It's about them just being protected. I'm surprised that they even get killed in horror flicks because they always been protected. And I'm not going to shy away from saying this because it's the truth. And I'm going to stand on any truth because God gave me that right. That's my God-given right.
It is the truth. You go take a black woman and put her in a park. Let's just say Central Park, and you put a white woman in Central Park. Put them on the opposite ends of the park. And you have a black woman there just crying. And people are just going to keep walking. But that white woman, now she does the same exact thing. Everybody's going to stop, including black people. Can I help you, dear? Because we have been programmed. We have been programmed to say white is protected. White should always be safe.
Yeah.
Since when has America cared about black women? You know, I said it even in relationship to Robert Kelly. I said, no, look, this is a man who was found not guilty almost 15 plus years ago by jurors not of his peers, okay? Yeah. Not of his peers. But when you start making noise about owning the rights to who you are in your publishing, they have things on you. When you make a song, I Believe I Can Fly, and it becomes a national anthem, they come after you. We saw it happen with Prince. We saw it happen with Michael Jackson. When Michael was okay until he obtained the Beatles' body of work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then we got to bring boys out against him. They understand Kera and Ron because history has always shown us whenever it's about taking down somebody black, they bring sex into it. Yeah. It's always about sex with us. You know, it's not about us robbing anything or stealing. If they really want to take us down, it's about sex. It could be sex with boys, girls, a dog, a cow. It's just sex. Because they have labeled us black men as the brutal black buck. Yeah. That's how they see us. We have always been, black women have always been looked at by white men as sexual objects. Mm-hmm. That's how they see them, their blackness, as something sexual. Same thing with black men. You know, we had one white woman sit at the second trial, Janice Baker Kinney, and this is her testimony. She said, I've done every drug known to man. LSD. I can't say that Bill Cosby gave me drugs. I think I probably compartmentalized it, but it came to light when I started seeing the parade of women coming out against him. She said, but me and my girlfriend, we always searched out and seeked out the black buck, the big black man. That's what she called Mr. Cosby. Like that. We love the big black man.
Yeah, me
sex. Too. It's always been about sex with us. And you go look at To Kill a Mockingbird. Thomas Robertson, the white woman, he helped her move some furniture, but sex. And we have to be careful. We have to be careful with the agenda out here today. I'm not saying all white people are bad. I'm not saying that because we got a lot of bad black actors out here too. Who you read the list of, who we have seen that would take down their own just for a few coins. But we have to be careful. We have to be careful.
But we all know that if you have a fruit basket getting old, if I put a rotten piece of fruit in the middle, the other fruit is going to become rotten too. So when people say that a couple of rotten fruit, I mean, it does matter. But I have to say this, and I want you to know it's coming from a place of respect, even if it doesn't sound like it, because this has been a question that's been in my mind from the very beginning. I know you can tell that I have so much respect for Mr. Cosby, and out of that respect, I just have to know, after everything he's done for the black community, after everything he's given just to charities and how he just wanted us to see such a good image. I know he's a smart man. He did too much not to be smart. Are you telling me that he did not know that this was ever going to happen, as far as not the allegations, but just people coming after him? Because it's hard for me to really believe that a man that had as much power and influence as Bill Cosby never sat down to himself and said, some people may come after me one day. Because in our history, that's what happens to our Black leaders. Did he ever think that something like this would happen?
We had that conversation. We did. And it was a very interesting conversation, okay? And the conversation happened in 2010 when I started working with Mr. Cosby. And I'll never forget, he was about to do the commencement speech for Miles College in Birmingham, Alabama. And he asked the person running the venue, the BJCC Arena, he said, pull a sofa, put that sofa, it was a sofa on the other side of the room. He said, put that in front of my sofa, and I need to have a conversation with Andrew. And he sat me down and he said, look, you're now tied to Bill Cosby. And he said, I need you to be careful of one thing and one thing only. I was like, what? He said, white women. He said, Andrew, he said, throughout my career, he said, when I got started, there were no Black people as agents. He said, it was only Jewish people as agents, Jewish guys. He said, there was no Black PR people. He said, so those are the people, he said, the shows, all your TV shows and your radio shows were controlled by white people. And he said, so what they would do, they would put you in a room. He said, you had no Black women in those circles. They were only the white women in those circles. And he said, you know, you take a guy from North Philly who left, came out of Rich Allen Projects, and you leave your community. And he said, when you go off to Hollywood, you come back, and all of the people you grew up with, they're strung out on drugs now. And they got needles hanging out of their arms and all kinds of stuff, and you see the devastation. He said, but you get into that whole society of, they build you up. They build you up to be this person because they see the money that you can make for them. And they provide you with this amazing life that, you know, $24 a week is a lot of money when you could not come up with $30 to pay your monthly rent and your stuff is being sat on the side of the street. So you're making $24 a week, $30 a week, and you tell your mother, I'm going to retire you now. You will not clean up any more houses. Saves a lot, $30 a week now. And so he told me these stories, and he said, I knew they were coming. I just didn't know when, but I knew they were coming. And he prepared himself for this. And I remember him telling me the story about Nelson Mandela, and Mandela invited him and his family to South Africa when Ennis was murdered. And when they came off of the plane, Mandela had the family feet washed. And Nelson Mandela and him went to Robben Island and sat in that jail cell. And Nelson told him, you live long enough, Bill, they're going to come after you. If you live long enough. James Baldwin, his friend, told him, if you stick around long enough, they're going to come after you. It's always about the price of the ticket, okay? And there's always a price to that ticket. And we have to always remember that. You know, no matter what we do and how we evolve in our lives, how your show evolved, there's a price to that ticket. You know, because we have to purchase that ticket from somebody, but we don't know how they came about that ticket. Okay. So we're purchasing this ticket and other people are purchasing that ticket. So this ticket is changing hands all the time. And we have to always remember that as that ticket changes hand, it touched somebody's hands who might not really care for us. somebody hand who might have said, well, you know, I don't like that he slipped or she slipped through the cracks, okay? But it's the price of the ticket. And knowing that it can one day come around. Look, we all have something in our closet. And if somebody take a white glove right now and a flashlight, they will find something, because none of us can stand a good investigation. None of us. So, and Mr. Cosby understood that and knew that. So you prepare yourself for those things. You don't get this far in life. Granted, hey, I get it. I'm not saying it's right, Kera, or Ron. I'm not saying it's right to step outside of your marriage. I'm not justifying it. But hey, if you really go to the scriptures and you read the Torah and you read the Old Testament, if people don't understand it, the 5 books of Moses, you know, it never said that a man said that he was being an adulterer unless he was having relationships with a woman who was married. It called him as being a fornicator. Okay, there's a big difference. It said that when a woman, the scriptures talk about when a woman step out and she's married, that's adultery. Okay, so we have to understand our history also. They know the history because they stole that Torah from us. Mm-hmm. All right, that's our history.
Well, I'm sorry.
We got to understand that, you know, we are a great people. Moses is in all of us, our teacher. He's in all of us. And Moses showed us how to escape from bondage. We all are on a strange land. Egypt represents bondage. That's what they have us on right now. All these mega prisons that they're building right now. It's that form of bondage. But as Bill Cosby has said, this has always been bigger than Bill Cosby. As we would tell anybody like Robert Kelly, this is bigger than you. Okay, this is about every Black man in America. And that vacating of his conviction for in perpetuity, that was helping Black people escape from bondage. So we knew, everybody knew it was coming. You know, it's just always win, Kera. It's always win. But what we have to always remember is the strength of our Black women. It's always a good thing when you have a Black woman who don't pull up the tracks on you. See, when they pull up the tracks, your support is gone because the train can't move without the tracks. And that's our Black women.
So Andrew, I get what you're saying, but for the people who are out here saying, okay, you can say that, but we haven't seen Miss Camille Cosby. Is she really standing by Mr. Bill Cosby's side?
Everything you saw, the strategy you saw, was conducted and approved by Mrs. Cosby. Mm-hmm. You know, this woman refused, this Black woman, this woman who's an American citizen, refused to take any work. All of the producing work that came away, she said, no, I'm not working until my husband is free. You know, this is a woman who funded everybody and kept everybody afloat to do what we needed to do to help him escape Egypt, to get him out of Egypt, out of bondage. I loved it when they saw each other for the first time. And on Wednesday, June 30th, I brought him home. And on Thursday, July 1st, I put him in a car, in his SUV. I had some guys, and I put him in this SUV purposely because it had Pennsylvania plates. And media was all outside the house. And they said, Mr. Cosby, where are you going? He said, look, I'm leaving here because I don't like it anymore. I'm going back to prison, going to see Camille.
Man.
Yeah, I put him in his car, and they drive him to New York, to his New York property. And to have the staff, you know, put him on FaceTime. And she calls him Billy. And he calls her his dear Camille. And man, I thought I was watching this teenage love affair, right before my eyes when they reconnected. And it was so amazing. And let me tell you this Kera Run, who she had at the house waiting for him. She had an acupuncturist there, a masseuse there. She had his chef there. She had an Epsom salt bath waiting for him. She had a psychiatrist there to talk with him. She had medical doctors there to take his blood work. She had his barber there, Mr. John Atchison, who's married, who she introduced some years ago, almost 50 years ago, to actress Sheila Frazier, who played in the movie California Suites. They were there to welcome him. And she got him cleaned up and she said, "You are mine now." She had not seen him in 2 years and 10 months now. She said, "You are mine now, and I'm giving you a transfusion of good foods, health care." And so when June 12th rolled around, his birthday, July 12th rather rolled around, he turned 84. She sent this picture to me and she said, "Mr. Wyatt," she said, "when Billy came to me, guess what I did?" And she was bragging and she had this swagger about her. "Guess what I did, Mr. Wyatt?" I said, "What did you do, Mrs. Cosby?" She said, "I gave him a transfusion." And she said, and so I said, "What did you get?" She said, "Yes. And the night before, you went and got him pizza and potato chips, let him have a good time."
I saw that.
No more of that, Mr. Wyatt. No more of that. And for dessert, he only had 5 figs. And so she's telling me this, and I'm laughing. I'm like, okay, okay, and what? She was like, "And guess what? He came to me at 173 pounds. He now has 12 pounds added to him. My husband. And he will now get some rest and he will go to sleep when I tell him to, because I'm taking."
All right.
Wow.
And it was and every day, Kera, she brags, and because she loves taking care of him, and he's in her arms, and he'll slip downstairs and call me in the middle of the night and say, "I got away from the lioness. I got away from the lioness." But
You know what's up?
Look, I wish people can see it. She's always been a private person. But if you remember last year, she came out and did the Frankie Darcell show. She did Black Press USA, an interview with Stacey Brown. She did Lindsay Davis' Good Morning America, talking about the injustice of her husband. See, what America's angry about is because she did not leave. But here's what she said to me. She said, Hillary Clinton didn't leave her husband. She said, Jacqueline Jackson didn't leave Reverend Jackson when he had the affair in The Outside Child. She said, they must be nuts if they think I'm going to leave my husband. And I knew what the entertainment industry was all about when I decided to go with him on this journey.
That's right. So,
hey, to put it to rest, no, I know they caught a picture of her without her wedding band on. They haven't worn wedding bands in 30 years. As she said to me, she said, Mr. Wyatt, she said, since when have you seen, if they were alive today, your grandparents or great-grandparents wearing a wedding? She's like, they don't need to wear that to proclaim that they're married.
Right.
And then TMZ said, well, she wore one in 2017. Well, the reason why she wore one, I'll tell you why. I asked for her to come to closing arguments. And I understand how people view things, especially jurors. Right. So I said, just put a wedding band on. And we had to go and search and find one because there was not one in existence. And so she wore one and I made him put one on just for the optics of it all, because I just know how our people are. I know how just human beings are in general. And they would say, oh, she's not wearing her wedding band. They would read more into it. So they haven't worn those things, but I can tell you right now, they're at the Massachusetts property. His granddaughter flew in from Northern California. Her mother passed away before 3 months before our second trial in Cosby. She flew in. The other two grandchildren, his grandson and granddaughter, are flying in. Evan Cosby's kids are flying in. All of the family, Mrs. Cosby's brother and her brothers and her sister have flown in. Mr. Cosby's brother is in. They're all in Massachusetts celebrating.
Ron, get your question in. I know you had something to ask.
Oh, I asked him, like, what was this? Who decided not to visit? Like, Mrs. Cosby did not see him in prison, correct? At all for those 2 years and 10 months?
Right. They made a decision, Ron, before he went in,
Mm-hmm.
he started preparing himself. He started giving up certain foods.
Okay.
He started giving up breads, desserts, a lot of the things that he liked. He was mentally preparing himself to go into prison. He kept saying to me, he said, Andrew, when they sentence me, this judge is going to put me in the iron box. He knew it. And so when he left home that day to go to sentencing, he knew he wasn't coming back.
Wow.
And he told Mrs. Cosby, he said, look, now I want to remind people, he was not sentenced to prison for a sex crime. He was sentenced to prison for 3 counts of indecent aggravated assault. That's for digital penetration, fingering a woman, you know, that's what he was sent to prison for. But he knew he wasn't going to see her. But they made this agreement. And he was in the Navy for 4 years. And he said, dear, when you go off to war, they don't ship your family in to visit with you because that takes away your mental fortitude and mental strength. He said, so I don't want to see you or my children seeing me with a number NN 7687, N-word 7687. You know, who gives a person that type of number? That's a hard number to put the 2 double N's next to it. But they made an agreement. He said, I don't want to see my children. I don't want to see friends. He said, my only visitor would be Andrew, because Andrew will keep my legacy alive. And Andrew's role, which I told them, my goal, since I already knew, was to humanize him. And the same thing when I had a meeting with Robert Kelly's team and they talked to me, I said, look, you got to have someone to humanize the individual and to tell the story. Yeah. And I want to keep telling his story. And he made me promise that when I would visit him, I would take care of the correctional officers. The same way we took care of the sheriffs. And when we were at trial, whenever we went out for lunch, we bought lunch for everybody. And he said, when you come to the prison, you know, bring cakes, desserts, you know, cheese steaks. Take care of these people. He said, because they're just here to do a job. And we did that. No special favors. But I also was there whenever the prison did something unjust. I had a platform to call them out. That helped him that would help keep him safe. Then I also went and met with Minister Farrakhan, who said, he said, what my brother Bill did for us to help fund us and rent the buses for the Million Man March, we want nothing from him. He's done enough. You know, all of those things. And when he walked into prison, one of the inmates, Anthony Sutton, who's been in there for 34 years, he created the Man Up program. His son has been in there with him for 12 years, 10 or 12 years. And Anthony, he said, when he walked in, he said he didn't walk in as Bill Cosby. He walked in as William H. Cosby Jr. And he said he was no longer a celebrity. He was one of us. And he asked to be put in general population. Now, this is a blind man who cannot see you and I. Right. He asked to be put in general population because he said to the guys, he said, I'm one of you now. We all have dirty laundry together. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to start cleaning it up. And he said, Andrew, all the guys and women that I was trying to reach on the outside, God wanted me to be here because I got a captive audience. And that was the beauty of it, man. Right. So he was given this 2-year, 10-month unwanted, unjust vacation. And man, he had a ball.
What was his difficulties with dealing with his vision, being in prison and not having help? And
let me tell you what they did. They provided CPS workers for him to wheel him around in a wheelchair. And Anthony Sutton, Anthony is like a king at that prison. This is one of the worst prisons, or the worst prisons in this in the state of Pennsylvania. It used to be Graterford. Now it's called SCI Phoenix. And when you walk through the door, there's a phoenix rising from the ashes, a mural. But Anthony always had 6 guys around Mr. Cosby at all times, taking him to his doctor's appointments, everything.
Wow.
And he didn't have a cellmate. And they offered him a television and radio to go in his cell. He said, nope, I'm not here to be comfortable. And he would call me every day, and he relied on me to keep him up to date on what was going on, current events of the day, what the media was saying. And he said one thing to me. He said, Andrew, he said, I will not hold any hate or let hate or anger be inside me of what these distractors have said about me and what they have accused me of, because it's only an accusation. He said, because you know what it tells me? He said, hate and love is indifferent. And he said, when a person hates you, they really love you because you did a lot of good for their life.
Oh my God. Do you know, wait a minute. I promise you, I wish my mom could just pop up here. I say that all the time. Hate starts with love. I mean, come on.
When a person hates you, that means that you did something so great for them that they can't get over you. Because if they really, really, truly despise you, you wouldn't come into their thoughts. They wouldn't even think about doing anything negative to you against you. They can move on with their lives. But when a person can never move on with their lives, and that means that, man, you put something in their lives and brought so much greatness to their lives that all they can do is ever hate you.
Wow.
So hate is not a bad.
Gave me chills. Ron, get you a question in there, because I got a big one after this.
Okay, well, I just thinking about Dr. Cosby, because he has done so much, and I'm in Memphis. I'm right not that far away where they shot Dr. King in the face, and they ran Ida Wells out of the town. We just put a statue in her honor. She got ran out here when she was 29 years old, never to come back here. That was like 129 years ago. And the thing about it is, go back to what Sister Kera was saying. She said black women are the least protected. Black men are the least protected group in America, period. It's black men, because the reason why she was ran out of here, because her best friend, who she was the godmother to his daughter, was killed for being a successful black businessman, Thomas Moss. See, a lot of the lynching victims were successful black business people. It's like Dr. Bill Cosby is a successful black business person. That's why they killed him. That's why they killed Michael Jackson and Prince and Otis Redding and Sam Cooke, all those guys, you know. But the thing about it is that Dr. Bill Cosby, I remember looking on HBO some years ago, he helped produce a documentary about Tulsa, about Black Wall Street, that he doesn't get any credit for. You know, that he did that years ago. He was always about telling us about who we were in our culture and where we stood. But like, I noticed that the people that tend to love us and serve us, we have the least respect for. Like the Ida Wells, is like the Dr. Bill Cosby. The people they put their neck out for us, we don't really respect or honor. But I think it does with us not loving ourselves enough or knowing who we really are.
And you said it's a lack of love and appreciation for who and what we are as a people. And when you don't know, as you just went down memory lane about the history and about Ida B. Wells and MLK and all those people, see, here's what they did not do. You know, when you kill someone or try to kill them, it's because you're trying to defend yourself. These people were not trying to defend themselves. They were trying to murder somebody because there was no self-defense needed. Because, you know, these people, as I said, Bill Cosby is Black Wall Street. And you mentioned Black Wall Street. Mrs. Cosby recommended me, and today I'm the executive producer of a new film called Heroes of Black Wall Street, along with Danny Glover is involved with it. And Mrs. Cosby's former producer partner, Judith Rutherford James, a white woman, brought this screenplay to me, written by a black man, Frederick Williams, who's also, he wrote the book Bayard and Martin, he's out of San Antonio, Texas. And he also wrote the book The Burning of Greenwood, the Tulsa, Oklahoma riots of 1921. Fred is also writing the book that Mr. Cosby and I are doing, my book, and we're doing together, we're writing a book. But he is Black Wall Street. That's what he was trying to show us. J.B. Stratford was the richest man on Black Wall Street. J.B. Stratford had the Stratford Hotel. J.B. Stratford, great-granddaughter, Laurel Stratford, is a consultant on our project. His great-grandson, believe it or not, is this guy, John Rogers. John Rogers, look him up. He's the CEO, co-CEO of Ariel Investment with Melanie Hobson, who's married to George Lucas. He's a billionaire.
Wow.
That's J.B. Stratford's great-grandson, Black Wall Street. See, the stories, and this guy, John Rogers, is the same guy that Obama used his office for the 2008 transition team. And he's the same guy raising all the money for Obama's library, presidential library. See, it's all our history. That's why I said we're great. But see, it's this show today is that brought Ida B. Wells back. Because when you have a platform and you get to mention her name and all these great people name, we're constantly bringing them back.
Right.
So they never left and they never will leave as long as we have these platforms.
I also want you, if y'all doing the Black Wall Street story, the most prominent victim of that was Dr. Alvin C. Jackson, who was one of the greatest surgeons of any color, but he was from Memphis. He was born in Memphis and trained in Memphis. See, when Ivy Wells' friends got killed, she told his last words were, if y'all gonna kill me, tell my people to go west because they can't get any justice here. And Ivy Wells reprinted his last words in a newspaper that she owned. As being a former slave woman, she owned her own newspaper. And 6,000 Black folks left here and went west, and a lot of them settled in what is now known as Greenwood. And Black Wall Street, right? The first store, like O.W. Gurley was one of the founders. The name of his grocery store was the People's Grocery Store. Right. See, Ivy Wells' friends, they own the People's Grocery Store here in Memphis. So I don't know what the connection is, but he was from Pine Bluff. I think his folks was from Alabama though, but he was from Pine Bluff.
Right. Look, man, you got the history, and all of them are in our script. Okay, they're in our play, and that's what we wanted to do. We call this Heroes of Black Wall Street because we want Black people to see heroes. Right. See, we're not victims; we're victors as Black people, and they always want to show us as the victim. You know, you look at Judas the Black Messiah. We could do all these great things, but they got to kill us off at the end. Man, these guys were World War I veterans, right? Who was defending, and they was shooting down these white people, okay? Until they brought the planes in and dropped a bomb on them, and that's what they're doing to us today. That's what they're doing to shows like Kera's show. Mm-hmm. They're trying to drop the bomb on our shows, but we as a people, see, we the people. We have to come together and say, no, the Oprahs of the world, we can't run to these shows when we get into trouble. Mm-hmm. See, what Mr. Cosby was able to do, and he told every promoter, if you book me in a city, I will not show up in that city if you don't spend at least $25,000 to $50,000 in the Black newspaper with Black media. Oh, wow. Okay. He would not come into those cities. And that was even up until our last tour we did in 2015. Wow. He's not coming into your city unless that promoter spends $25,000 to $50,000 with Black publications, whether it's newspaper, whether it's television, whether it's some show. He's not coming into your city.
I have to say this, just to go back on something we were just talking about, but what is becoming clear to me is that we can hear people hate us all over the world. We can take criticism from so many people, but when it comes to Black people criticizing Black people, we can't take it. That's when Black people are in an uproar. When Bill Cosby wanted to say, what did he say? Don't sag your pants and all that stuff. The comedian, I forgot his name. He got upset. He was on one of these top news stations years ago, just saying, oh, Bill Cosby saying this about Black folks. Who does he think he is? But why can't we criticize each other? I'm not a big fan of necessarily doing it in front of everybody, but hey, why can't a person that had been such a what do you call it, just a figure in our community, he doesn't have the right to say anything? Well, you know, and also he just didn't say it to say it. He put his money with his verbiage. You know, he didn't just go out there and say these things. He still put the money out there to say, okay, I'm going to say these things. And when you put the money out there to uplift the community, you have a right to say what you want to say. That's my point. Yeah.
And I think that's just these people. See, yet again, you're going, Kara, into people who are programmed, like the D.L. Hughley's of the world. They're programmed by these white people. Like, if you want to continue to work, if you want to continue to have a career, if you want to continue that, we'll give you a platform. We'll let you say, because there ain't too many people listening to you. As long as you disempower who you are and disempower Black people, we'll let you say all of those things. And it's okay, because you're cooning. It's a minstrel show. And they let these people do those things, and these people are able to say, oh, well, I hate Bill Cosby because he was trying to tell me something to do right.
And
But
let me
these
say this, Judge Joe Brown was on this show, what, 2 weeks ago? And it's escaping me. Man, I don't even know where my thoughts went. I was about to make
come back to you.
about to make a great point about what he said about this situation. My bad. That's what I get for trying to interrupt you. It'll come back to me.
No, Judge Joe Brown, what he said, and he was on the guy's show that I call The Perfect Idiot, Mark Lamont.
Oh, Mark Lamont Hill, yeah.
Another Philly guy. He a Philly guy, right? Or
Philly guy that hates Mr. Cosby because
Yeah.
Mr. Cosby was trying to tell him that the rhetoric he was speaking, he was saying, look, man, you're talking this hip hop stuff. And he said, but you're not speaking to the people in the way that you should. You have a platform. Humanize the people. Uplift the people. And Mark Lamont Hill took criticism that Bill Cosby was just trying to give him a little advice.
Yeah.
And that's how the perfect idiot acts. You know, when you want to be the end all be all and have all of the answers, you know, and you don't study the facts. See, yet again, it's all about acceptance with people like the perfect idiot and so many perfect idiots out here, like Mark Lamont Hill. They want to be accepted by white people. And so white people send them out. But this is the same guy who was he's been from place to place. He's got kicked out of every home. He didn't even get to set up shop in his home. CNN kicked him out. He's been on all these different homes, MSNBC. He's been on has so many homes, and they just utilize him to go in and take down his own people. And when they say, okay, he's done enough of the work, okay, we'll let him slide. Send him somewhere else.
Oh, I got it. Excuse me for my senior moment. I do have one every now and then. I've just got so much information in my head. What I want to say is, when Judge Joe Brown was on this show about 2 weeks ago, he said something he said, death isn't the worst thing to happen to you. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because, you know what would be the worst thing for me? Cooning. Cooning. Right. At what point will we have respect for ourselves as Black people to stop the madness, stop the cooning? Something's got to be worse to you than death. Your values, your morals, something's got to be. And I refuse to coon. We are so afraid of that hand that feeds us not feeding us any longer. And you know, that's why I'm so happy to have this show on an independent Black-owned network, because we get our freedom of speech, which is supposed to be what we all get. But obviously, when so many of us have fear that's been placed in our hearts and our minds, we aren't really getting back what we deserve from a lot of people that we have pushed to the forefront of success. How many people, Black people, have we supported only to have them reach that success and leave us behind? And when I say leave us behind, I mean they don't want to protect us. They don't want to speak on the important issues. They have to sugarcoat it. So I said, you know what? I had to knock down some doors by myself. You know what I mean? I'd rather do it like this and grind the hard way, which I say in my song, I'd rather take the stairs than to take the elevator, baby. Because what's the point of being on a big stage if you can't even be the artist that you really want to be?
Correct.
I'd rather be the real person that God-given person that he wanted me to be, instead of having to put on a mask. And because when these people get on TV and they coon, you might as well put on blackface. You might as well be Aunt Jemima, or no, Aunt Jemima's too good for you because she had to do that. You don't have to do this. So excuse me, Aunt Jemima, I wish they'll bring her back with her a bottle of syrup, because we need to see Aunt Jemima, because a lot of y'all are doing stuff that you don't even have to do. And just for people who watch this show who criticize me about the way I talk, you know what? I'd rather have this country accent and to be country as hell than to be one of these well-spoken, proper English speaking people that you all see are like clones of each other. They get on TV, they just regurgitating the same news, the same information. I'm not doing that. I don't work for the big corporations. I work for two. I've been behind the production. I've seen it. I know how they lie. I've been studying this game for so long. What are you talking about? I've been a little activist. I'm just going on this rant to say we don't have to do some of the things that we do. That's right. And I just appreciate Bill Cosby, because my thing is, and I don't know what happened or what this, but my thing is I just can't leave him and say throw him to the wolves, because I'm looking at his track record and he just did too much for us. If you came out tomorrow and told me he was guilty, I still would say I gotta separate it. I gotta separate it, because he did too much. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. I'm not gonna be able to kick Mr. Cosby to the wolves. You're gonna have to show me some real hardcore evidence for me to throw him. He did too much. I want him to know he's still loved by a lot of people. I'm sorry, I'm done. I just had to get that out. We got people cooning for a little price.
Well, and you know, and everything you said was on point. And you know, people say, well, you're supposed to do this because you get paid. Okay. Well, hey, that's just how I make my living. I got a job just like the attorney has a job. Right. You don't say that to them. You don't say that Gloria already. Somebody's paying her. She's not doing it for free.
No, Bob, let me ask you this, Andrew, because I heard it from people who do really nice, big professional jobs. I bet you already had an offer coming to you for you to coon. I think you said it earlier. They always waiting on your doorstep. Soon as they see you getting a little popularity, they go, excuse me, Kera.
The minute I stepped onto the scene, because I've always been behind the scenes, and that's the role. But when I stepped onto the scene and took over everything for him, when I saw the people with him setting him up, I saw the attorneys, I saw all the people around him setting him up. And I said, untie my hands and let me take over everything. I had people make all kinds of offers to me to leave. They said, well, hey, we'll give you this. I lost, over 15 clients because of it. Wow. But I tell everybody, see, it's never about the money with me. You know, I've had a pretty decent living, you know, throughout my life. I'll be 48 on August 3rd. And I tell everybody, you know, I've done pretty well for myself. I worked in the news business for 12 years, ABC and Fox in Birmingham. And I started my firm in 2007 and picked up clients along the way and built it, you know, and I knew I had something different and unique when I started Purpose PR Firm, because I came from the industry and the news business that taught me how to set people up. They would teach us how to put scandals and create scandals on political figures and go through their garbage and try to find something on them. So when you're taught this game, I tell everybody, it's a rarity to have a Black man to own a firm. They will let a Black woman, but not a Black man. And they're only going to let the Black woman go so far with owning a public relations and crisis management firm. But when you have a formula of knowing how it works and understanding, because they teach you that formula, okay? And when you're young, when I started in the business, I was 20-something years old. And I understood and I saw how, and I would always cringe because I'll be in the control room and he's the producer, White, the director, White, the TD, the technical director, White, the Chiron operator who puts your name up over you, White, the audio person, White, the master control person, White, okay, who sends you the breaks and then commercial breaks.
Look, I used to do that job. They got us in there now.
Okay, So, you know, I worked in every aspect of a TV business. I started out in the studios running cameras and worked my way up to selling the shows. So I understood it. And I would watch them when a shooting happened in a Black community. The producer said, go find somebody who speak crazy and who don't look good and a Black person with no teeth. This is what they would say. And I'm sitting here in the studio saying, this is how they view us. But then when something happened in the white community, don't go inside the community because such and such anchor lives in that community or such and such corporate person lives in that community. Just stand outside the gate, but go find somebody intelligent. You know, we're our worst enemy because we put the worst of ourselves out there to represent the masses when we don't even have to. And that's what you said about the cooning. We don't have to do this cooning. It wasn't about the money for me. It was about, I went to this man and I said to him, I said, look, I have a daughter. She's my only child. And I have a mother, I have a sister, you know, her mother. I said, and I need to know, did you do these things? Because, you know, look, I got a business and I want to grow. And I had to ask him that question. And he looked at me and he said, Andrew, I will not take you through the valley of shame. That's all I needed to hear. Okay. And I told him, I said, and I know Mrs. Cosby and everybody felt that I was going to leave. And I said, let me tell you this, I would never leave. I got a formula. I have a strategy. I know how to work this. And when mainstream media blocked me, I said, okay, I got a game for them. I went to overseas media, started putting out statements. Then when mainstream media tried to slowly come back, I said, nope. I'm going to various local media outlets. I'm some of the most rural areas who had stations, maybe one TV station, one newspaper. They were happy to get a statement from Andrew Wyatt representing Bill Cosby because it blew their papers up. It blew their platforms up. Then they tried to come back. I said, nope. I'm doing this whole grassroots media thing. I'm going to shows like Kera show. I'm going to the Boyce Watkins shows of the world, you know, the Nicole Views and Black Press USA. I'm giving them their fair shot of all the truth and all the facts, because granted, I remember doing the Tom Joyner morning show, and Tom Joyner, who's a fraternity brother of mine, I listened to him turn on Bill Cosby. I said, you wouldn't even be able to do the Tom Joyner voice. You're not Mr. HBCU. Bill Cosby opened up that door for you. And you won't stand behind, and this Black man says to me, well, I'm just saying, man, you're putting yourself at too much risk.
You know why? Because we've gotten to the point, and I forgot who it was that, Dr. Umar, even though some of us don't agree with everything he says, I like when he said recently that he has to speak like he does so that a Black child can see that a Black man can speak and stay on his point firmly. So Black men, not only do you get hung, you get lynched, you're not protected, but they cutting your nuts off. You can't even stand for anything anymore. Wake up. You gotta be, because it pisses me off. Okay, we not only do we allow other people to do it to us, we do it to ourselves. Death is not the worst thing to happen to you. Do we want to die? No. But stop letting these people cut off your nuts. How many people before this whole case came up did we hear people say, who was your inspiration, or who did you look for as a comedian? What did they say? 2 people. Who was the 2 people, Ron?
Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor, right?
Pryor.
Who was the 2 people, Andrew?
Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor.
But lately I ain't heard nothing. The comedians, I'm calling the comedians out. Y'all can get mad at me, make jokes. I don't care. I love it. Write about me. Yeah. Where are you guys? And I get it. It's a big case. You don't want to get into it, but you got to say something. You couldn't just say he meant this to us.
Well, you know, Joe Torre did go to some of the proceedings, right? Joe Torre was there, right? Okay. He's the Omega too, right? Omega brother.
Joe Torre came. Lewis Dix came. Keisha Knight Pulliam came. Malcolm Jamal Warner became scared. Darrell Bell, who Mr. Cosby helped fund, who played Ron on A Different World, he became scared. He's been, him and Tempest Bledsoe have been together for decades.
And were they working on a show together before?
And
Wow.
Darrell
Okay.
just went away.
Wow.
Darrell went away, became scared, wouldn't even get on the phone with Mr. Cosby, wouldn't even talk to me anymore. They just ran. This is a man who launched their careers, okay? This is a man who, when Al Sharpton was coming out, speaking out against Tawana Brawley, it was the young Black woman who claimed that the officer defecated on her and peed on her in New York. Mr. Cosby came to the aid of Al Sharpton and gave this young woman $50,000. Mike Tyson took his Rolex watch off and gave it to the family. So when the allegations, we will call Al Sharpton. Al told me, he said, hey, hold the phone, tell him to hold. I'll call you guys right back. I'm about to get in my car. Never heard from Al anymore in 2015. Reverend Jackson. When Reverend Jackson ran for president in the United States, Mr. and Mrs. Cosby said, we don't want you going to the white people asking for money, to the Jewish community having to depend on them. They gave him $1 million, paid off his house in Chicago that he still lives in today, purchased him a house in DC that they still own today, gave him, his wife, $150,000 for new wardrobe and brought Mr. John Atchison, their hairstylist and barber, in to keep her style, gave him access to their private plane to use. Wow. But he never said nothing. Never said a thing. Oh. And to the Andy Young, when he wanted to run for Congress, Clarence Avant, who they did a documentary on called The Black Godfather. Right. Mr. Cosby gave Clarence Avant $200,000 in 1970 to save his radio station. Now, Clarence Avant's daughter is married to Ted Sarandos, the head of Netflix. Also, Obama made her ambassador to the Bahamas when he was president. Clarence Avant called Bill Cosby up and said, is this man running for Congress in Atlanta? I'm going to bring Isaac Hayes in. I'd like for you to come in and do a benefit for him to get people to come out in Chastain Park in Atlanta. Mr. Cosby came in and 30,000 people came out and got Andy Young elected. Andy Young said, I can't come and speak up. Clarence Avant said, oh, I can't do anything because I'm having memory issues. I can't remember things.
But is it Clarence Avant? I first heard about him, that Netflix documentary, but he's a product of the Jewish mafia, no disrespect. I mean, Joe Glacier, Louis Armstrong's manager and Billie Holiday's manager, was a product of the Chicago mob, Al Capone outfit. So that was his sponsor. So, and
he would not come out and speak. He kept saying, I have memory issues.
You remember Joe Glacier and all them guys pretty well.
He remembered everybody in his documentary, but all of a sudden he had memory issues where he said, I can't speak out for Bill because I got memory issues. I can't remember all the great things.
Yeah, Andrew Young, he created Bounce TV with MLK the Third, right?
Right.
Did they stop running reruns of the Cosby Show after all this stuff hit the fan?
They were the only ones that put it on. Ryan Glover with Bounce TV put it on.
Okay.
But look at now. TV One, Kathy Hughes put it back on, but they didn't take any of Harvey Weinstein movies off the air because they said, well, we don't want to hurt these white women from making money and white people, but they took the Cosby Show off the air.
You ever heard of this? You ever heard of this? Seventh Heaven.
Oh, Seventh Heaven.
Oh my God.
He was accused of molesting a boy and admitted to it.
He admitted
to it. Yeah.
He was 25. She was a preteen.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. It just shows, Kera and Ron, that white is always right.
But you know what? I'm going to excuse white people right now because I got to blame black people.
Yeah.
Because when white people open the jail cell, we take the key and we lock the door.
Right.
We lock the door.
But see, white people are smart. White people, they teach us and tell us how to hate each other. And they have us to go out publicly and smear each other, but they never do it to their own.
Jim Crow goes back.
Gloria Allred, who? Shaquille O'Neal, he settled with her. Oh. Tiger Woods. O.J. Simpson, she came after. Michael Jackson, Tiger, she came after. Her daughter sued Kevin Hart for defamation. He settled out. Okay, they're known, they're notorious for coming after only Black men. And here we are, we have guys like Dave Chappelle and all these other people who are like, oh man, we want to thank Gloria Allred, Chris Rock. You know, she's an icon. Yeah, because you think she won't come after you? Trust me, there's a price over your head. And I tell people this. If they could get Bill Cosby, Obama, you're not safe. Michael Jordan, you're not safe. Okay? LeBron James, you're not safe. Because, see, the minute Will Smith, you're not safe. The minute you start to speak out and say, I want to speak out for Black people, they will wait till your career stops or you retire and you get a little bit older. Then all of a sudden, there's another stable of women being paraded out against you.
Right.
So, you know, they got to keep in mind, see, they think that they're safe now because they are dictating and they are the gatekeepers right now of social media and their empire. They know, white people know how to remove the gate, trust me. They know how to take the hinges off of the gate. And you have to be careful and you have to always insulate yourself. As I said to people, I said, look, as Mr. Cosby said, we created the formula for crisis management. No one had ever seen this before. And I was doing this Chicago radio station, WVON, and Perry Smith, and she said, hey everybody, we had Olivia Pope, but now I'm talking to Oliver Pope. And my goal is to be that Oliver Pope for our people and to tell our story and to be there to humanize our people. And it's never been about money. As I told Robert Kelly's team, I said, the only reason why I can't come on board, it's not that I think that he's guilty. It's just I haven't been in it from the inception to read the evidence and sift through all the evidence. And I even told them, I said, look, if I had that opportunity and I had been involved from the inception where I'm controlling it, I would come in and do it all pro bono because it's not about the money. It's about my grandson. It's about any of you guys who got children, nephews, and nieces. It's about creating safe passage for them to be able to, you know, use their talents to become successful and not have to worry about some scandal being waged against them because they're great. Because we are great people and they know it. They know that about us. That's why we don't have to smear each other. And that's why I say, Dave Chappelle, look, you're Dave Chappelle. Why do you need to do jokes about Bill Cosby? You mean to tell me your comedy stuff cannot soar without, and you can't get news coverage without invoking Bill Cosby and doing some joke? Marlon and Sean Wayne, those stages would not be hot for you if it wasn't for Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor, Dick Gregory, Red Fox. They warmed Nipsey Russell. They warmed the stage up for you, okay? They got it hot for you. Wouldn't be no Steve Harvey and wouldn't have been no Bernie Mac and no Said the Entertainer. You know, kings of comedy? Come on, man.
Now, did Steve try to help Bill Cosby, but he was told to stand down too? He's an Omega, right? Steve's an Omega. Steve
always been a friend.
Okay.
I don't think Steve is a Q. Look, Michael Jordan is a Q. Mr. Cosby is Omega.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of us out here.
And Joe Torre is too, right? Joe Torre.
Joe Torre, man, you know.
So Omega's kind of hold it down, right? They hold it down for Cosby.
And our motto is friendship is essential to the soul, okay? It's all about being a friend. Our cardinal principles are uplift, scholarship, perseverance, uplift, and manhood.
Okay.
Scholarship is education. Persevere means to persevere no matter what you're going through. Uplift is to always uplift a brother and you never tear him down when they're going through something, they're encountering something negative. And manhood is to stand on your own 2 feet because you're a man.
Mr. Wyatt, I have 2 more things and a statement just to say. I know we can't keep you all day, but one thing I want to say is, how far back will we start going? Because if we can bring up these charges, these alleged charges, and we've seen it done to other people as well, when will we write the true history? Like all the founding fathers, a couple of them, you know, raped slaves. And how far is too far back? Does the slavery, does the raping of Black America not matter just in the whole? And people sometimes, I think they feel like that's not the right conversation to have and compare it to something like this. But to me, it is, because I mean, look how many people that was.
Well, you know, you have to, when they say go back, if we're going to truly go back and say me too, we have to say us too. What about us? What about us? And what about all of the women that look like us 400 plus years ago that was raped by some of the people who were president of these United States of America? You know, what about those people? Do they not count? Do those Black women not count? No. So since when has America cared about Black women? Since, you know, they want to give us the rape card, and they want to say we created a rape card and a race card. Okay. You know, but with us, you know, and with them as white women, when it comes to having sex with a Black man, it's like we regret it. It's not rape. It's we have regrets that we did it. Okay. Right. And now we have to, our grandchildren might find out this about us. So if we're going to do that, all those, the rape card and the race card was created when they put Black people on that slave ship and brought us over. When they developed and drafted the Constitution minus the amendments, that's when those cards were created. So in order to understand what this is all about, we have to understand our history and understand why it's being done to us and why it will keep being done to us. And we have to quit tearing down each other to make white people feel special and to make ourselves feel privileged to be accepted into the club, because the club is never permanently. It's
and
always.
I want y'all to hear what we're saying, because I don't want to hear comments about this show and people say, well, they were blaming white people. That's not what we're doing, but we're saying historically, and we have to bring it up. It's got to be brought up, because this story doesn't go without telling other stories. And I brought this whole thing up to get to 2 words that we have to cover before you go. And Ron, you can say whatever you want about it too. Jump in there, please. Here you go. You ready, Mr. Wyatt?
Right.
Victim shaming. Please say whatever you want about it. I want to know how it has affected your case, how it has just affected.
They told us on our attorneys were not allowed to, they called them 404B witnesses, prior bad acts, women who were able to come and testify with never been vetted. They just wrote something and they gave a sworn affidavit of something happening, but no one was able to vet it. When they got on the witness stand, they told us we couldn't ask them certain questions about certain accounts because that's re-victimizing, re-traumatizing an alleged victim. You know, well, here's the question. So you mean to tell me a detective cannot question an alleged victim? You mean to tell me she cannot get a rape kit done because that's re-traumatizing and re-victimizing her? How do you get to the evidence? How do you get to the proof? How do you get to the facts of what she's saying is true? So that's just white America now, creating those terms of re-victimizing and re-traumatizing and victim shaming. But those terms do not correlate to Black women, because America has never cared about Black women or Black girls.
That's right.
Okay, they don't care about your Black vagina. Just to be real about it, okay? Because they have been abusing your Black vagina for decades on top of decades, for centuries on top of centuries, and it's okay. When the white woman didn't want to have a baby, the white overseer went in there and raped the Black woman. And she had to nurse the baby. So, and then when the white woman didn't want to breastfeed, he had the Black woman to breastfeed the baby.
and ended up being called the N-word by the baby that you gave nourishment to. Now, how the hell is that work?
So, but that's because we have been branded to think a certain way, to act a certain way, and to be a certain way by them. And it's some part of us like that brand. Because you walk into a building, you notice that when a black person see a white person and he know that white person, they run up to that white person because they want to show the black room, look, I got a white friend.
Right.
We have to start thinking highly of ourselves. You have to, you know, I always said to people, what we did differently, and we showed the world, because what happened for us, Kera and Ron, vacating the Bill Cosby's conviction, it was bigger than him. 3 days after, a week after rather, he was freed from prison. Pennsylvania state legislatures convened and held a special session. And in that special session, they said 13 million Pennsylvanians' constitutional rights would not be violated. And they put certain laws in that said, like Bill Cosby was. So if they have been given any special deal with the prosecution, no matter what, verbal, whatever, it would be upheld. Now, states across America, they should call it the Bill Cosby law. And the reason why it worked is because we understood one thing. Corruption needs collaboration and cooperation. We did not collaborate and we did not cooperate with corruption. And we understood another thing. In order to go deep, you got to be different. And we was different. And we did it our way. And this American citizen, this national treasure, Bill Cosby, this icon, the greatest of all time, America's dad, America's father, America's grandfather. This great man is free today. And he didn't do it for himself. I didn't do it for Andrew, Valjean, Wyatt. I didn't do it for that. I did it for us. And I did it because it wasn't for civil rights. When he shook my hand, when I picked him up from the prison, he heard my voice. He said, Andrew the Great, friendship is essential to the soul, he screamed out. And when he got in the car, he thought it was a dream. He thought he was dreaming.
Wow.
And I said, no, touch me. He said, man, you can touch people in your dream. And he said, man, you made history. You gonna go down in civil rights history? I said, nope. I don't want to go down for civil rights because their civil rights is not our civil rights. Their civil rights is to execute us, persecute us, murder us. I want to go down for equal rights, because when they go after things, the LGBT community, white people, they don't say civil rights. They said, no, we want equal rights. I want the same privileges. I want to be able to say that I'm bisexual or I'm transgender. I want to be able to go into a certain bathroom.
Human rights.
Human rights. And so we have to ask for equal rights, human rights. We have to ask for those things. And that's what this is all about. It's not about us. It's about you. It's about this show. It's about making sure this show is around 15 years from now, when you can hand the baton to someone else who's going to have not just the blackness. See, it's also about having the consciousness. Anybody can be black. So what? So what? You're black. That doesn't mean that you have a consciousness about you. That doesn't mean that you stand on the strength of who and what you are. No, anybody can be black. And we've seen that with Mr. Cosby. We've seen these coons out here run around just being black. We've seen a lot of the perfect idiots like Michael Eric Dyson and Mark Lamont Hill. They exist and they're here for a reason.
Well,
but they don't
answer us this. Where does Bill Cosby go next? We got comedy clubs, one in New York. The Comedy Cellar said he's not welcome back. Right. So where is he going next?
Comedy Cellar only said that is because they were trying to make the news. Okay. And of course, when you want to make the news and make a name for yourself, especially after a pandemic and you're trying to reopen and you're trying to grow business, you say anything to put your name out. That's free advertisement because it was picked up all over the world. Where do we go from here? The revolution is in the home.
Mm.
Bill Cosby getting back out here on his platform, getting him back on the stage, comedy, all of the great things that you've seen him do, producing shows. This book that we're writing is called My Turn. And he called it My Turn because he said, Andrew, it's your turn. And you will see him on the cover, and he's narrating the book. We're just talking about how we came together. We're talking about the trial, how it all started. How Dick Gregory said to me, when I picked up Bill Cosby, he said, look, how old were you? I said, I was 37. He said, how old was Cos? I said, 73. He said, what year you was born? I said, 73. He said, look, N-word, the numbers don't lie. And and then Mr. Cosby, we joked about it. He said, boy, how old are you going to be on Tuesday, August 3rd? I said, 48. He said, I just turned 84. He said, the numbers don't lie.
Right on. Still very funny.
Oh, that's great.
Ron, do you have any final thoughts here from Mr. Wyatt?
Yeah, I really appreciate him. He got a great personality. I see why Cosby would love this guy, not just like him. My thing is, like, I know you support grassroots media, right? And I know Mr. Dick Gregory for like 6 years, the last 6 years of his life. He was interviewing him a lot. And I've been talking about supporting Bill Cosby since 2014. So I got Dick Gregory, talk about it since that time. We talked about it for the last time in 2016, and he did his stand-up act about it. And also, I did a tribute to him on his birthday, like compilation of some of the interviews I got with people like Dick Gregory, Sister Sarazad Ali, Paul Mooney, and some other people. My thing was, I thought it was interesting because back in 2015, and I've been doing this for a while. And so I did something. I had at Bill Cosby on Twitter, and somebody blocked me on Twitter. I don't know why. I didn't do nothing bad. I was just like, I was promoting the podcast, really mostly pro Cosby, because I said I got a lot of respect for Dr. Cosby. So
right.
My thing is, I wish, like I'm in Memphis right now. Now, Ivy Wells got ran out of here for being a truth teller. You know what I'm saying? She never came back. But I'm saying a lot of times you do pay a price. All the time you pay the price for trying to tell the truth and stand on something. So I would love to help you come on my platform as well to talk about some things. But I would love. But I see like the media say, like, people don't understand. It is sad that the black media, the traditional black media, is not as vocal as they should be. The fact that a man like Dr. Bill Cosby can't get his narrative told from day one the correct manner by our own traditional media is a shame. Emmett Till would not be known about if it was for John H. Johnson, and Ebony and all that stuff. But I'm saying even Malcolm X overstood. Every great leader that we had knew that they had to control their story. They had to have their own news or media organization behind them, whether it be Ida B. Wells, Frederick Douglass, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey. All our great leaders knew the power that you got to control your narrative through the media and you got to amplify it. So I just want to encourage you to keep on reaching out to us, and we'll always provide like a platform for you all to amplify your message, because we love Dr. Bill Cosby.
Look, I would love, man, like I say, what we're going to do, and you guys would be invited. Mr. Cosby wants to hold a round table with black media. Mm-hmm. Shows like you guys. I'm talking about invite you to his home. So we got a list. And this is something he wants to be personable. And he wants to elevate black media. Mm-hmm. Like he said, he was trying to buy NBC, but maybe that was the wrong network. Maybe he needs to elevate black media. He not needs to, he's going to. And we're going to. We're going to have, we want black media to fly with us, like mainstream media flies with the president, and come to some of these tours and comedy shows and cover it, and do behind the scenes coverage of it. Look, man, we're about to create a whole nother movement here. Just because, people count you out because of age. But there are more young people leaving here than older people, okay? And so they think because you're 84 years old. Look, the only thing wrong with Mr. Cosby is he's blind. Mm-hmm. I would say that prison saved his life because while in there, he had 90% blockage of his carotid arteries on the right and left side. He never told anyone. And his blood pressure kept going up in prison. They cleaned that blockage out, man, and his clarity became clear again. His eyes wasn't red anymore. Man, this guy is ready to go. He's ready to make some moves. And so, as I always said, we're ready to make some moves for the future, man. And we're just fighting the powers that be and loving every minute of it.
Awesome. I want to urge everyone who's watching today, do yourself a service. Make sure you subscribe to Run Heard We All Be TV on YouTube. And of course, follow me, Kera Dangerous, on Instagram and on YouTube at Kera Dangerous Talk. Mr. Andrew Wyatt, it has been a pleasure to speak with you. I appreciate you so very much. A lot of people ask me, how did I get this interview? And I want to simply respond here on air. The name is Kera Dangerous. I made it happen. And if anybody else want to come on that want to rebuttal or got something to say, you know where to find me. If you want to find me, if you're that powerful, you know how to get at me. Thank you again so much, sir. Please let Mr. Cosby have my regards.
Well, I would do this. I have your number, Kera. I think we text. Send me another text. And with your number, Run, and then I would love for him to say hello to you sometime today, if you're amenable to taking a call from him.
Wow. You talking about some surreal stuff, huh?
But send me your number.
Are you crazy? Are you crazy? What's those dances Bill be doing on the Cosby Show dance?
Hey, it's called, it was that called, the dance move he told me to keep walking was walking in the court. And it's a dance from the 60s called the Birdland. And he said, I want to do the Birdland. And the reason why we did it is because it was a small section of Black people who always said, Free Bill. And he called them Harlem. He said, we're about to walk by Harlem. I'm going to do the Birdland. And so he did the Birdland.
I'm talking about he's still funny as hell. I don't even think he tried to be funny. He's just funny.
I will text me again. I would love for him to say hello to you. And just
that number that I got, that's a cell phone?
That's my cell number. That's been my first number. It was my first cell phone number when I was 19 years old.
Oh, wow.
And that number is stuck with me. And so I've never changed my number.
Oh my God. Okay, I gotta go get some food in me so I won't pass out when he talks to me. And I'm gonna text you right away. Like, I gotta get myself mentally ready for this.
Hey, it will happen today. And thank you guys for having me on your show.
Listen, man, we love you, man.
Oh, thank you. We out of here, guys. I'll see you next week for Dr. Boyd Watkins.
Hey, everybody, this is Brother Ron. I am asking you all to do me a big favor. Think about supporting the We All Be movement. Your donation is tax deductible. The We All Be Group Incorporated is a recognized 501c3. And I'm just asking you all because I want to keep on bringing y'all quality work through the way that I know how to do best. And I'm going to sing my praises and toot my horn. A lot of y'all were not hip to Dick Gregory until Brother Ron brought him on the We All Be platform, until that jingle review we did. Y'all seen another side of Judge Joe Brown, and Judge Joe Brown's message has been amplified. But it was We All Be that brought Judge Joe Brown to y'all back in 2014. And so many others. And we covered so many things. So help us out so we can help you all. Peace.